Let's have a look at tomorrow's action, including the Manchester derby. It is such a big game. It really is huge. Local bragging rights at stake, but it's so much bigger than that. It's symbolic. These two teams going head-to-head, and it's a weird situation because both of them are in dire need of a win. Generally speaking, when Manchester United have been good, Manchester City have been struggling. And the situation has flipped reversed when Manchester City have been good and Manchester United have been struggling. Now, however, both teams are in dire need of those 3 points. Both teams are desperate for victory. Manchester City are on a terrible run. A win in the Manchester derby, a win against Manchester United, it would be symbolic. It would end that run. It would be the start of their season on some level. And for Ruben Amorim, he could benefit so massively from a victory in this fixture. In terms of who's the favourites for this game, I really do not know. But for the first time ever, in my opinion, Manchester United are going to go into this game as favourites. When I say the first time ever, I mean in recent moments. It feels like Manchester United are going to go into this fixture more likely to win because Manchester City are simply all over the place. Let's speak to Lewis, the Manchester United fan. How are you feeling about this game, sir? Lewis, can you hear me?
Rory, can you hear me, mate?
Yeah, I got you. How are you?
Sorry. Yeah. Hi, mate. You okay?
Yeah, very well. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Just a quick one on tomorrow's game. You've taken the words right out of my mouth. It's our best chance for a long time. Genuinely a long time for us to turn City over tomorrow. I've got a good feeling.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? Because generally speaking, over the past, say, decade, whenever Manchester City are taking on Manchester United, wherever the fixture's taking place, I've been of the persuasion that Man City are going to win. Manchester City have made light work of games against Manchester United in recent memory.
Yeah.
However, it feels different now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. We've had results at the Etihad before with Pogba and Martial and stuff. We've won there before, but just this time just feels a little bit different. I think we might nick it tomorrow. I don't think it'd be like a landslide 2-3-0 or anything like Spurs did, but I do feel like we might have a real chance tomorrow just to boost our season because we need a win. It might be the catalyst to our season anyway, because we've picked up a little bit of form in Europe and stuff, and it might be the Europa League and it's not where we want to be, but it might just give us that little bit of a nudge where, you know, in the Premier League we should be where everyone else is, and we're not.
Yeah, can I ask you, Lewis, with regard to the Premier League form? I think that Ruben Amorim has come in. I think it's the impossible job. I think he's got such a problem at that club, and there are so many distinctly average players that there are no amount of tactical tweaks that can make certain players good. Like, it's not Ruben Amorim's responsibility to get Anthony to play to a certain level because Anthony's not good enough to play to that level. But if you don't win tomorrow, say you get beat, that would be 3 defeats in a row in the Premier League. It's not quite the shift from the Erik Ten Hag era that maybe we expected.
I mean, I was in the boat with Ten Hag. I wanted him gone. I really did. I wanted him gone after the FA Cup final. If I'm quite honest with you, I was just bored. And you know, that was a real shock. To be fair, we turned up and we beat them, honestly, in one of the biggest games of the season. But I'm just really excited for next season. I kind of just want to get this season out of the way, if I'm quite honest with you, just so we can kind of get. He's not had a pre-season with us. He's kind of come in halfway through, and he's not really. He doesn't really know the players, and quite, you know, and I feel a bit sorry for him that he's come through, you know, straight into September. It's not ideal for a Manchester United manager to come into a season where he doesn't really know anybody. So, you know, get through this season, see how he feels about some players and get some players out of the door. And,
you see, this is the problem though, Lewis.
Rashford's one of them. Yeah. Rashford is definitely one of them. You need to make a decision on this boy.
What do you think?
Sure, there's another boy.
Can I give you a bit of context to this, Lewis? I was on talkSPORT last night. I was with a dear friend of mine, Ade Oladipo, and we were talking about the peril of Manchester United, the issues at the club. I was saying that whatever you think of Rashford, whatever you believe he is capable of, however good you think he is, you can't sell him because he is, even if you don't rate him, he is one of the best players at Manchester United. I cannot tell you the reaction that I got to that. Everybody that got in touch with me, including Hugh Wozencroft, who is part of talkSPORT, came flying into the studio to say it's one of the most ridiculous things he's heard. Basically, I said Rashford was good and Manchester United should keep him. I guarantee you this. It's very rare that everybody in football agrees. Everybody in football agreed that I was wrong.
Yeah. it's one of them, Rory. I mean, I agree with most things you say, if I'm quite honest with you. I love you when you're on the overlap and stuff like that, but with Rashford, it's really difficult because he's a United boy, he's come through the ranks. When he came first through the academy, he got that chance with Van Gaal. We were like, wow, look at this young player, he was amazing. And he went from strength to strength, but just for whatever reason, he's just dropped off a cliff. And I just can't understand what it is. But if he can't find that form and the money that we pay for him, week in, week out, he has to justify that wage. He has to justify that wage. You can't turn up and not perform, especially at this club, any club. And those wages,
it's 350 grand a week, by the way. 350.
It's a massive amount of money where United could save on wages where they could bring somebody else in. I mean, in Mbeumo, don't get me wrong, I know he plays on the other side, but I thought Rashford would be brilliant through the middle.
Yeah.
I thought, under Ten Hag, when we were beating Barcelona, we had that fantastic season after the break. He was amazing through the middle as a number 9. And a lot of people don't agree with me on that, but I thought Amorim, when he comes in, I think he might see Rashford as a number 9 because he's not really a winger who will track back. He's quite lazy, if I'm honest with you. And when he's away and he's in behind the defenders, you ain't catching him, and he's a brilliant finisher.
Well, what about this, Lewis? If I offer you £40 million, and the reason I say 40, I know it sounds low, but he's on 350 grand a week, so there's a finite amount of clubs that can pay that kind of money. He's not going to get the wages. Therefore, Manchester United have to take the hit on the sale price. £40 million.
It's 40 million pure profit, though. So it's a little bit...
So would you sell him? I offer you £40 million. Do you keep him because of the player that you think he can be, or do you get rid of him because you don't think...
It depends where he goes to, Rory. If it's in the Premier League, no. And I don't know who would take him in the Premier League, based off the last couple of seasons. If he went to PSG or something like that, and he's not going to affect United and come up against us, it might be easier to take. But who's out there who can replace Rashford's numbers? Because he's got good numbers for £40 million. It's difficult, mate, and it's
Can I just get your thoughts on this, Lewis? I read an article in the week. Jamie Carragher wrote an article talking about how Manchester United rebuild under Ruben Amorim, and his suggestion was to sell Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes and almost start a new era of Manchester United. What do you think of that?
No, I don't agree with the Bruno thing. He's a special player. He really is a special player. His stats prove that. He might be a little bit frustrating sometimes where he tries things off the cuff, and you kind of want someone who's, what you're going to get, like a De Bruyne when he was in his prime. Yeah, you can't sell Bruno at this point in his career, to be fair. Maybe in a couple of years when he's in his 30s, because he's still in his late 20s. He's in his prime. No,
interesting stuff, Lewis. Really do appreciate that call. Insightful. Really, really interesting stuff there, Lewis. Thank you so much for getting in touch. Now, let's hear from both managers ahead of the game, starting with Manchester United boss Ruben Amorim, who says he's not paying any attention to the fact that it's a Manchester derby.
I'm really focused on the details. I just want to improve the team, so I cannot leave it like a normal derby, like it should be, like two great teams fighting for the title, and it's not that in this moment. So it's just one more game with a very good opponent. Both teams are struggling in the moment, so I hope in the future feel that real feeling of a derby. But I know that is really important for our fans. But my goal now is to improve the team, win games, and I will try to win this game.
I think he conducts himself really well, Ruben Amorim. I think he sounds like a Manchester United manager. I think he looks like a Manchester United manager. Of course, the scale of the job is imposing. The scale of the job at Manchester United is so difficult. There are so many distinctly average players at that club that there is no manager in the world that could turn it around immediately. But from what I've seen of Ruben Amorim so far, from the way that he likes to play football and from the way that he conducts himself, I think that Manchester United have made an astute appointment. Now, let's hear from Pep Guardiola, who was asked how difficult it is to turn around poor form.
I think in our jobs always we will do our best and works the best as possible. If it doesn't happen, you are more uncomfortable than when the situation is going well. Not just the managers and all, especially the people like is, being a scrutiny for every step that we do as a team. Always it happen, but I'm fine. So, of course, when have more thoughts is about what happened, what can you do, and what I feel right now is like I feel the last 3 weeks, 1 month, and every press conference when I see what is the situation. Nothing changed, absolutely. I'm really pleased for the way we played, and I have a certain moral authority what happened in my career as a football player and manager, the titles we won, that I know perfectly when we're playing good or not good. We have to shoot more, yeah, in the final third. We have to defend better, yeah. We have to avoid mistakes, yeah, in both sides, yeah. But the game is there. Except, I said, except Liverpool game, a Bournemouth game, the rest of the games, we were there. We are not consistent for 90 minutes. We're not consistent in teams. Like, you know the reason why. Well, I know the reason why. And that's why is move forward. Keep walking. So this is what we have to do.
Brilliant stuff there from Guardiola. Now, what a game this is going to be. The Manchester derby, and if Manchester City win it, because of what we've seen so far today in the Premier League, are Manchester City back in the title race? Who is the game bigger for tomorrow? Is it City or is it Manchester United?
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.